Well, in the span of 7 days, we've gone from one platform race room at Portimao last Friday. We had the Aquila CR1 Sports GT. Then, a couple of days ago, we mixed it up a little bit here. And what we did was we went to the Grand Prix karting variation of Suzuka with the mad Formula Student cars, and boy, that was a riot. But, to really even things out, we're going to go full throttle. We're here at the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, for the third and final round of SGP Rivals with Intel. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, running solo tonight. So big thank you to Paul Glover for having joined me over the course. And Paul, get well soon, buddy. But what we have to decide is via multi-class madness. Now, this particular circuit really is going to test everybody. But before we do talk about Monza, here's the leaderboard. Crack Racing still leading the way on 362 points, with Glenody Dionysis doing an absolutely cracking job so far, pardon the pun. At 220 points so far after round 2. Mateusz Bogus from SGP staff rounds out the top 2, and Team 87's Nathan Maximin, who won last time out at Suzuka GPK, rounds out the top 3. Reska Kyoso, Albert Georgi, Jamie Nuttall, Ben Brown, Gabriel Costas, David Ohak, and Cadillac Crafter round out the overall top 10. And top 15 rounded out by Maurice Hiccup, who did have a hiccup last time out at Suzuka. Dan Terry, Gareth Ronda, Daniel Lusko, and Julian Strasser round out the top 15 overall. So, this particular circuit inaugurated back on the 3rd of September 1922, meaning it's over 100 years old, and it's the pantheon of speed. GT3 cars pushing over 270 kilometers an hour, but for this third and final round, the communities have got a little bit of a different challenge. One of the drivers is being stuck in a GT3 car, the other stuck in a GT4. Now, this particular circuit has hosted multiple times the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS. You are at full throttle for pretty much 70% of the lap, and of course the iconic Greta Filia chicane coming down the start-finish straight sorts out the men from the boys. But tonight is where it all comes down to one final hurrah, because at the end of this, the community team that wins will get a £500 sponsorship courtesy of Intel UK, and a big thank you to them for helping us out with this particular series. There's more in the pipeline. So what we're going to do very, very shortly is we're going to head to qualifying just soon enough. But of course, GT3 needs no introduction. GT4 needs no introduction. But you're going to see a very, very, I wouldn't say the word chaotic. That's the word that Paul said before we let the mad Formula Student cars go loose at Suzuka. But this is going to be a different contretemps altogether. And what I mean by that is you are going to have battles up and down the order. You are possibly going to have GT4s passed by GT3s. And now the teams have the added bonus of doing a multi-class strategy, because whoever bests everybody else are the kings and queens of Monza. Pure and simple. And you can't get fairer than that. But you know what? Because I'm running solo, we're actually going to take a look at qualifying live and direct from the virtual recreation here on Assetto Corsa Competizione of the Temple of Speed. There's Gabriel Costas for Formula Student running in the wonderful 296 GT3. Currently sitting P4 at the moment, 1.3 seconds. Oh, Glenody Dionysus has already started up in the ante. He's in the McLaren 720S GT3 Evo and has posted a 1 minute 46.402. Nathan Maximin from Team 87 rounds out the top 2 and is less than 4 tenths behind. Ben Brown, however, for Onid Racing is P3 at the moment. Jamie Nuttall in the Mercedes AMG GT4 leads the way in that class, ahead of David Ohak. There is Adam Burks in the number 85 BMW M4 GT4. So the Markside spot. Oh, David Ohak's gone with the Alpine. That's a very shrewd choice. I actually like the look of that as a GT4, and it has been used on the Alpine eSports series that ourselves at SGP have actually helped out with. So there you see a bit of multi-class madness. There is Jamie Nuttall in the crap racing. Has someone just gone off? I think someone. I wasn't too sure if someone went off at possibly at the final corner. Jamie Nuttall comes out of the Parabolica Alboreto, goes across the line. That was that was not an improvement. There's David Ohak for Remnant Racing in the number 8 Alpine A110, heading into Della Roggia. Very much of the same vein as Letterfilio. Ohak using a little bit of the kitty litter on the outside. Still keeps 2 wheels on the black stuff. Gareth Ronda rounds out the top 9 in GT3. Representing SGP Racing staff, Adam Burks, currently sitting in 6th place in the GT4s. And those people, Adam and Gareth, always have been getting a shout out. Albert Georgi, in the meantime, goes P4 in the Track EU Team Sim McLaren. There's 2 Track EU teams. We've also got, well, it looks like we might have had another change again. Well, Dan Terry is actually in a GT3. That's strange, because he's he was Team 87 last week. Oh, and Dan, you just made a pig's ear of the Rettifilio. He's knocked over a couple of the bollards as our good friend. Well, the thing is that Dan has actually switched because James Hallam is running with Nathan Maximin. Dan Terry is running for SGP Racing. Alongside him will be Shane Thomas. Shane running at the minute 5th position. As we are 2 minutes and 40 to go. Darren's probably got a little bit of front end damage. And good representation there. Love that livery. Colour coordinated as it should be with the big SGP logo on the side door. Glenady Dionysis, however, comes across the line. Just over 3.5 tenths off of his best lap in this qualifying session. It is going to be a 30-minute race around this 3.6 mile, 5.793 kilometre circuit. As, oh, Dan, don't, oh, dearie me. Oh, return to garage. Thank goodness it's not during the race, because I think there might have been, I don't know who he walloped the back of, but that was not cricket there, Dan. It wasn't a case of shouting for, swinging the driver and hoping you're not going to hit a tree. But the beauty of this SGP Rivals with Intel is the fact it's community teams, and it has been a 3-round series, which, you know, over the course of a week, you know, the drivers have got pretty much to get to grips with these cars. Oh, Moritz Hiccup ran very, very wide coming out of Lesmo number 2, heading into Saraglio. All the back end stepping out nearly on the number 34 McLaren 570 SGT4. As that's Glenady Dionysus getting past in the number 4 McLaren as they go under Saraglio. Moritz Hiccup bounces over the curbs through Ascari. One wrong move through the first part of it can really cause you a major problem, because you might spin and end up in the barriers. Dan Terry and Gareth Ronda in the pits, as we're less than a minute away from the checkered flag here in qualifying for this 3rd and final round of SGP Rivals with Intel. Mateusz Bogus running in the leading 296 GT3, sitting in P3 at the moment. About 9 tenths off of Glenady Dionysus. Yellow flags are out. That was for the 71, I believe. Well, it looked like the 71. Well, Albert Georgi. That was actually the number 11, which was Tim Bob in BMW. Mateusz Bogus on his way down the back stretch, heading towards Parabolica Alboreto, named after the late Michele Alboreto, himself a Scuderia Ferrari driver and also an Audi Sports LMP1 driver. Unfortunately, his life was taken in a testing accident back in the early 2010s. Checkered flag is out for the session. JB Nuttall makes his way into Della Roggia. Will be his final push lap. So on Assetto Corsa Competizione, there is always a little bit of an allowance of about 2.5 minutes from the moment the checkered flag flies. So Mateusz Bogus improves. Nathan Maximin, however, has gone even better. He's gone up to P3. Ben Brown improves across the line, goes 0.63 behind. Kennedy Dionysus there is the Onid Racing number 5. McLaren 720 SGT3 Evo, as everyone seems to be coming into pit lane. Ben Brown just fires it across the Rettifilio like he doesn't care. David Ohak, can he improve? He's 9/10 behind Jamie Nuttall in the battle for pole position in GT4. David Ohak out of Alboreto, pulls to the right hand side, 2 wheels over the tram lines, and does he improve? No, he does not. David Ohak, however, will be lining up on the front row of the GT4s effectively. Kennedy Dionysus, last lap around, 1 minute 46.627, and that is the end of qualifying. So, the cracked racing duo put it on pole position in both classes. The rest of the teams have got their work cut out for them, but we've got a 30-minute race coming up very, very shortly here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Don't forget, if you haven't followed us on Twitch, please do so. One little click from you means a hell of a lot to us here and everyone behind the scenes. Also, you can follow us on social media at SimRacingGP on Twitter. Don't forget, if you are watching tonight, share the link and also use the hashtag IntelRivals. A big thank you to them for their support over the course of this very compacted, very condensed format, which, I'll be completely honest with you, my good friend Paul Glover would absolutely mirror these comments, as in, it's something different, it's something refreshing, and it involves the communities. So you can see all the wonderful panning shots of this particular circuit. So I've got a couple of minutes to go. There are the virtual fans waving their flags in the background on the main run down the backstretch out of Ascari and into Parabolica Alboreto. There is the infamous corner itself. Got to brake hard for it, turn the car in, round about 3rd, 4th gear, and then apply the power progressively coming out of the corner, and then just really launch up those rear tyres to bite down onto the tarmac and get yourself as best a run you can out of that final corner before the very long run down to Rettifilio. But Rettifilio does cause problems. We have seen it before. And notwithstanding, I think we're going to see those problems tonight, especially if people decide to outbrake themselves. They're going for goal. So let's see if we can now go onto the virtual grid world to take you through the grid for the 3rd and final round. So Kennedy Dionysus for Crack Racing starts on pole position. Mateusz Bogus for Formula GT Racing League lines up alongside him on the front row. Then it is Nathan Maximin and Ben Brown from Team 87 and Onid Racing. Albert Georgi from Track.eu Team Sim has got Raska Kyoso from the Track.eu Team VT McLaren alongside him. Gabriel Costas rounds out the top 7 in the 2nd highest placed Ferrari. That's the Formula Student car. Dan Terry, running for SGP Racing, starts 8th in the 240 BMW M4 GT3. Just behind him will be the drivers completing the top 10 overall, which will be Gareth Ronda from SGP Racing staff in the 23 BMW, David Lusko from Intel Arc in the Porsche 992 GT3, number 17, and then rounding out the GT3 grids will be Lucien Ephraim for Can-Am Simsport. Jamie Nuttall makes it a double bubble for Cracked Racing in the Mercedes AMG GT4 taking pole position. He's going to have Remnant Racing's resident GT4 expert David Ohak in the Alpine alongside him. Julian Strauss and Moritz Hiccup round out the top 2 rows in GT4. And then we've got Shane Thomas, Dan Terry's teammate, down in 5th ahead of Adam Burks from SGP Racing staff. Then we have got Andy Dreschler for Formula Student. Dan Hyde running in the Ginetta GT4. Inspired decision there, Mr. Hyde. Love a bit of patriotism. Then we've also got James Hallam in the the Team 87 BMW M4 GT4 rounding out the top 20. We have got a couple more cars on the grid, but the pace lap is underway. 3.6 miles. Nearly 5.8 kilometres of hallowed tarmac that has evolved so much over the years. And we will have a proper sports car 2x2 side-by-side rolling start. Any wrong move on the start mean that the drivers will get pinged by the system software and thereby get a automatic drive-through, which they must serve within 3 laps. The start is crucial on this particular platform, and none more so at a circuit as fearsome and as full throttle as this. The drivers are going to be more than 70% at full throttle, even in the GT4 cars. Drivers weaving from side to side to get some heat into the tyres, thereby the carcass of the tyre, the warmth from the carcass of the tyres then exudes into the wheels on the cars and then permeates through to the brakes and brake pads and discs, thereby giving the drivers the option to have, as Tom Christensen, 9-time Le Mans winner, once said, you need to have your weapons sharp, and that is very true here at Monza. Field makes his way through the first of the 2 Lesmos, Dionysis and Bogusz rounding out the front row. It is going to be McLaren versus Ferrari on the latter's home turf. This is for the marbles, folks. This is to become the inaugural Sim Racing GP. Rivals with Intel, inaugural champions. Crap Racing have not felt the pressure yet. Could the tables turn here at Monza? Well, with both cars already on pole position for both GT3 and GT4, there's going to be a lot. There's got to be a lot of decisiveness, a lot of conviction, a lot of gung-ho and go with the flow here at this circuit. Ascari is also it's a triple apex. It's very deceptive. People think it's just a normal chicane. No, it's 3 corners in one, and you are carrying momentum. One wrong move into the entrance of the Ascari chicane, and you can make an absolute pig's ear. I've seen it before where GT3 cars have gone 2-3 wide coming out of Ascari. One on the outside has gone way too wide and ended up in the barriers. But folks, the field now starts to get into formation. 30 minutes on the timer here at the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. 30 minutes to give us a real spectacle. Multi-class madness here in Italy, just north of the fashion capital of Milan. So Dionysis and Bogusz on the front row, McLaren versus Ferrari. Then it's another quartet of McLarens, followed by another Ferrari. 2 BMWs and a Porsche and a Ferrari bring up the rear of the GT3 field. Then it's Mercedes from Alpine, 2 McLarens, 3 BMWs, 1 Ginetta, and 2 further BMWs with Tim Barr from Intel Arc bringing up the rear. Drivers slow to within the regulated speed, 70 kilometers an hour as we wait with bated breath because are we ready? Are we steady? Green flag waves. Good start by Dionysis, and Maximin looks to the inside going into the Rettifilio on Bogusz for the first time. Ben Brown keeping behind them. He's got Georgi to his immediate left-hand side. And there is Maximin up the inside of Bogusz going into the Rettifilio. Bogusz looks to the outside, connects with Dionysis. And takes the race lead, as there has been a little bit of a drama with one of the GT4s. It's the McLaren that has gone around, and bales have been thrown onto the circuit. McLaren goes off track, as so does a particular car that might have been one of the GT3 BMWs, as Bogusz has already got through. Ben Brown round the outside. Oh, and he's gone straight on a Rettifilio. De La Roggia. So has Dionysis, and Dionysis has now got Maximin looking up the inside into the first of the 2 Lesmos. The Team 87 driver looks through on the inside. Oh, Dionysis runs wide. That's going to allow Chioso to get through at the second Lesmo. They bash door panels to the pair. incredible control, and it's a McLaren meritocracy behind the Ferrari, the Cavallino Rampante, who has gotten away. Bogish by sector 2, by the end of sector 2, now has a 1 second advantage, and is starting to check out early. All behind Dionysis, Chioso and Brown going door to door into Ascari. Do they make it through? I'm not sure, because there was a Ferrari. Costas got through. Where on earth are Brown? Oh no, Georgi's out. Georgi's round at the midpoint of Ascari. Yellow flags out on the circuit. Not exactly what you want. Leonard Dionysis has held firm and stayed in 3rd position, but that's a real shame for Albert Georgi for the Track.eu Team Sim car. Jamie Nuttall, in the meantime, is closing in on the Can-Am SimSport BMW GT3. Lucien Ephraim, who has shown that he will take part in a community event, but Jamie Nuttall is pulling away from the Alpine of David Ohak. The Alpine, a lot more of a prime handling car. Lucien Ephraim running in the Iron Lynx livery. It's got Dan Terry behind him, so Dan Terry's had a drama. Mateusz Bogas has got a lead over Team 87's Nathan Maximin to the tune of a second. Ohak closing in on Nuttall. Gap is now less than 0.578 as it indicates on your timing screens. It will as they go into sector number 2. Goes down to, let's have a look at that gap. What is it between the two? Just waiting for the timing to update on the left hand side, but 3 minutes in out of 30. It's now going to be the run when they get it through into Ascari to start sector number 3. That's where we'll get a real indication of how quickly David Ohak from Remnant Racing has closed in on Jamie Nuttall through into the second Lesbo. Both run onto the AstroTurf on the left hand side. It's Ben Brown closing in on Daniel Lusko of Intel Arc. And it's going to be through Ascari. Ben Brown, a capable driver, especially if you put him behind the wheel of a McLaren and on ACC. He's got a real good slipstream. Twin turbo 4-litre V8. Pushes the car along. He gets the side draft. The flat 6 Boxer engine in the Porsche. Unable to respond due to its prowess as a handling vehicle as a GT3 weapon. Ben Brown is pulled away to the tune of 6 car lengths on the outskirts, coming out of Alboreto. So now we are on to our next lap. These laps are going to go past very, very quickly, folks, but we did get some drama in the meantime. And is that, well, that's a car that's got a bit of a knackered front end. That looks to be Chioso, I believe that is. So Ben Brown has got through. So Chioso might have had a bit of an off. Brown has gotten through, putting the number 5 Owned Racing McLaren 720S GT3 back up to what is now 6th position. That will change very shortly when they cross the timing beam, as the fact that Chioso has got a bit of a wounded front end on the McLaren is going to hurt the aerodynamics. It's going to hurt the top speed, and it is really hampering him. In the meantime, Nathan Maximin, who took the win last time out just a few days ago on the Suzuka GPK circuit, Mad Formula Smart single-seater. Now we stick him in a McLaren for Team 87. Just have to give a shout out to good old Jimmy Broadbent, having now brought Goldie, his trusted Praga Cup car that took him to the title last year, into the fold. Also congratulations to Jimmy on his recent podium at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. There's Shane Thomas in the number 30. Oh, Daniel Lusko has gone off, and that is off of Ascari. Oh, he's binned it big style there. Moritz Hiccup has had a bit of a hiccup. Well, it's been a big old hiccup because he's ended up in the pits. So we're down to 20 runners and riders. Shane Thomas has got the likes. Well, Albert Georgi is now scything his way through the GT4s in front of him. He's going to pull to the right-hand side of Shane Thomas into, of all places, Parabolica Alboreto. Thomas knew, well, Strasser said, well, I'm not going to fight that. Mr. Thomas, watch your 6, now watch your 3. And Georgi gets through. Bit of a difficult pill for the Track.eu Team Sim crew to swallow. But Julian Strasser doing a very good job. Nathan Maximin is within 5.5 tenths of a second of Mateusz Bogus. So again, Ferrari versus McLaren. Sounds a bit like a Formula One story a few years ago. Ah, yes. 2008, if I remember correctly. So that gap is coming down. Over the timing being, they will go into Ascari. 0.33. Oh, well. Mateusz Bogus' last lap was a 147.3. Now, considering the fact that the 296 GT3, the road car is a V6 turbo hybrid. So the waft that McLaren has got, you can just see how close Maximian got under the brakes, onto the brakes going into Alboreto, as we're about to complete lap number 4 of this third and final round of Sim Racing GP Rivals with Intel. Don't forget, if you are sharing on social media, use the hashtag IntelRivals. Now into the Rettifilio. Hard on the brakes. Look how deep Maximin was on the brakes. Must have been like just after the 100-metre board. You've got to avoid that bollard on the left-hand side coming out of the Rettifilio chicane. And here is a change. That is going to be Ben Brown on Gareth Ronda, who's running in the Donald's liveried Team WRT car. A few drivers behind the wheel of that car this weekend at the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Endurance Cup finale at Barcelona. So good luck to everyone there. Maximin. Now, I'm seeing it might be, as Mr. Paul Glover would say, there is Sendy Glendy not too far behind. Sorry, Paul, I had to steal that one for good measure. And he's close to within 1.9 seconds of Nathan Maximin for Team 87. But with third in GT3 and a first in GT4, this could provisionally give Crack Racing, this is the SGP Rivals with Intel title, 3 rapid changes of format in a week. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone else that has put in a 3 race evening program, put them on 3 different platforms. So we've had Race Room Experience, Assetto Corsa and Assetto Corsa Competizione. We've had different types of cars. So we've had the CR1 Sports GT from Aquila, the Mad Formula Student car, and then you put GT3s and GT4s together and bring them out at Monza. Maximin trying to close in, trying to get that slipstream into the Rettifilio chicane once again onto lap number 6. And Bogus gets the power down a little bit better in that Ferrari coming out of the Rettifilio. Picture in picture, that's Julian Strasser, who's currently P3. Here's crew, that's the Track.eu Team Sim organisation. Albert Georgi, in the meantime, sit rep on him in the number 6 McLaren, currently 11th, out of 11th in the GT3 class, and is now 1.6 seconds behind Can-Am SimSports Lucien Efren. So 10 minutes down, 20 to go. Maximin trying to close the gap between himself and Mateusz Bogus, but Glenady Dionysis is not that far behind. He's now nearly 1.65 seconds adrift as the number 4 from Crack Racing. Maximin getting very, very close in the slipstream, heading into Ascari. Bumps over the curves, front end washes out ever so slightly. He loses a little bit of momentum at that point. However, from that perspective, there's going to be places on this track where Maximin is going to really use the prowess of that McLaren 720S GT3 Evo, and that is where it's the strongest. Coming out of Alboreto as we complete lap number 6. Nuttall leading by a country mile. It's like he's trying to go down to Sarno as opposed to staying near to Milan. Here's the number 3 Mercedes. Leads David Ohak from Remnant Racing. by nearly 3.5 seconds. After the best part of 11 minutes of racing so far, it has been absolutely brilliant. And don't forget, well, if you've got your notifications open on your phone at the moment, folks, Gamer Days are now here. And you can jump into some great racing on Sim Racing GP with Intel. Coming up, Tuesday the 3rd of October, 7 PM UK time, Radical SR3s at the Cathedral of Speed, not the Temple of Speed, Cathedral of Speed, TT Circuit Assen in the Netherlands. And you can actually go to @SimRacingGP on Twitter, you get the link in there, give it a go. So, something new that we're going to really look forward to providing the community with more opportunities to go racing, and a big thank you once more to Intel. We are not that far away from the halfway point. Right. Reska Kyoso from Track.eu Team VT has pulled that heavily damaged McLaren into the pit lane. I'm wondering if the damage might be terminal on the number 9 car. Strasse at the moment is being chased down, and it's by Sim Racing GP's, well, SGP Racing's Shane Thomas. Nathan Maximin is again. It's a case of, it's as Murray Walker once said, it's one thing to catch somebody, it's one thing altogether something else to try and pass them into the Rettifilio. Hard on the brakes, Maximin looks to the inside. Oh, they touch, and Bogusz gets spun around, and Dionysus cuts the chicane. Glenady, you're going to have to give that place back, I'm afraid. That was an off-track as well. Maximin went for the send. Bogusz kept it to the outside. And now Maximin is saying, right, Glenady, come on, give that place back. You straight-lined the chicane. Dan Terry now into the pits. Might be for some damage repairs on the 240 BMW. Well, Kyoso looks to have dropped to the back end of the order. Unless Dan Terry, well, look at the front of that BMW, that's a little bit mullered, isn't it? Into the pits comes the 240. Sorry, Dan, well, Dan, we have to say that Dan Terry is actually suffering with COVID-19. So he might be at the end of his strength and his endurance. So Dan, credit where credit is due, buddy. You've done a fabulous job helping behind the scenes, but also, despite being ill, he's decided to get in the sim rig and race. And sometimes it's not the best of ideas. There's Daniel Hyde in the wonderfully purple, it's like a dairy milk wrapped car there. In the number 13, Ginetta G55. And he's got Andy Dreschler looking to his inside BMW. Oh, Andy Dreschler has decided to go for it. He doesn't get past. So Dreschler looked to the inside. Dan Hyde had enough of a run on him. Just kept the racing line, just kept to the outside in order to swing the car through at that point. And then that just goes to show how quickly one car can stay ahead, one car languishes behind. Halfway through the race, Dan Hyde has just absolutely flatlined it straight through Della Roggia. And Dreschler is going to look for the inside of the first Lesmo. Hyde keeps it around the outside. Oh. But Glenady Dionysus is now being chased. And he's got two very, very hungry, motivated, and probably incensed individuals at the moment. He's got Nathan Maximin, and look, they're going past one of the BMWs at the minute. Might have been that's looks like that's James Hallam actually. That's they've just got through on. Managed to get through, coming down Seraglio. So one of the BMWs decides to go exit stage right to keep out of harm's way. Bogusz now. Oh, Mateusz Bogusz got a good run coming out of Ascari. He's towards the outside of Nathan Maximin on the run to Alboreto. Ferrari plays McLaren once again. And a little bit of hip checking between the pair, a little bit of swapping of paint. And Maximin keeps second for the minute. 13 3/4 minutes still to go. It might have to be a case of defending Glendy very, very soon indeed. Glendy. And he pulls to the right-hand side. Maximin darts to the left. That's going to open the door for Mateusz Bogusz, but Bogusz doesn't take it. He looks to the inside. Side by side for second position. Who's going to get the better traction coming out of the Rettifilio? Streshler and Hyde battering each other's side panels. And Maximin still ahead of Mateusz Bogusz, but now the battle between Hyde and Drechsler has just been passed around the outside. Bogusz looking in towards Della Roggia. They are 2 by 2, side by side. Hurrah, Drechsler contacts Hyde. Bogusz gets Maximin, who goes around the outside of Drechsler, gets a little bit of a hip check. And then Maximin gets through on the inside of Daniel Hyde, through into the first Lesmo. Nathan Maximin, take a bow. That was absolutely epic. He runs wide coming out of the first Lesmo though, and heading into the second. That could have gone so much more horribly wrong, that right there and then. Mainly because of the fact that they were too wide, too deep, going into, I can't believe I'm saying this, into, of all places, Della Roggia. You've got not enough room to swing, let alone enough room to swing a black cat around a room in there, but you put 2 GT4s behind, in front of 2 GT3s into Della Roggia, and that's how one of them responds. Drechsler though closing up on Dan Hyde, just behind them. That looks to be Gabriel Costas in the Formula Student car. Andy, keep a look in your rear view mirrors, mate. I think you nearly gave Gabriel a bit of a scare. These two are battling away over 5th position in the GT4 classification, as we are 11.5 minutes away from the conclusion of the first ever running of Sim Racing GP Rivals with Intel. Julian Strasser in the Track.eu Team Sim GT4, the McLaren, doing a very good job. He's got Glenady Dionysus not too far behind him. There's Jamie Nuttall, currently running P10. Now Dan Terry looks to have rejoined the circuit as we head into the final 11 minutes. Now, who is that in front of him? That is the McLaren. I can't make it out. Briefly saw it going through into shot. Whether it was a 570S GT4, that is a 570S GT4. That is Julian Strasser, I believe, who's got front end damage on that. Dan Terry is not too far behind. There's Moritz Hiccup, who has returned to the circuit, the Team VT driver, partnered by Rescue Kyoso. Kyoso currently sitting stone dead last, 11th in the GT3 class, but 17th overall. David Ohak is about 4 seconds behind Jamie Nuttall in the grander scheme of things when it comes to the GT4 classification. But Ohak gave Nuttall something to think about in the early goings. As we now have 1/3 left, there are barriers all over the shop at the Rettifilio. Gareth Ronda has done a pretty good job in the number 23 SGP Racing Staff BMW McDonald's livery. It's McDonald's Belgium, actually, for those wondering, or Benelux, that sponsor Team WRT. You have the likes of Charles Weerts, Sheldon van der Linde, Maxime Martin, Augusto Farfus, and of course the man, the myth, the legend, 9-time MotoGP World Champion, Il Dottore Valentino Rossi, who is actually now a proven GT3 race winner. Misano earlier on this year in the Sprint Cup. Gareth Ronda closing in on one of the GT4s that he's about to try and swamp around the outside. GT4 lets him through. That is Andy Dreschler for Formula Student. As the time is ticking away. Sunshine beaming over this particular circuit, located in the Royal Park at Monza. Welcomes the Tifosi every single year for the Italian Grand Prix. Gareth Ronda having a bit of a tail-happy moment in the BMW. Mateusz Bogus has been dropped by Nathan Maximin. There's Glendy Dionysis for Crack Racing. So both cars leading in GT3 and GT4. Dionysis has got a lead of just over 2 seconds ahead of Maximin, who again, in his own right, has cleared off into the distance and left Mateusz Bogus eating his exhaust fumes. Maximin, however, is starting to close the gap. 10th and a half in the last sector, and even with 8 minutes to go, this back marker traffic situation might play into the hands of Nathan Maximin. You just never know. And Dionysus has his head very, very much switched on and will look to try and get through and get past those back markers as quickly as humanly possible. Still, the battle for 5th in GT4 rages on between Onid Racing and Formula Student. Andy Dreschler looks to the inside again of Daniel Hyde, down the start-finish straight into the Rettifilio. And Dan Hyde breaks a little bit later. Dreschler braking earlier in the BMW. Daniel Hyde again able to make that Ginetta stay through. Blue flags are now waving, as there is Jamie Nuttall in the Crack Racing number 8 Mercedes AMG GT4. Gets blue flags waved at him, and straight away Nathan Maximin is through into the timing beam. 1.5 seconds is the gap between Nathan Maximin and Glendy Dionysus. They both picked. Oh no, Maximin went very, very wide coming out of Ascari. I think that might be his opportunity of going for the race lead, completely and utterly squandered at this point. A bit further back, Ben Brown has been moving up the order despite the issues earlier on for the Onid Racing driver in the numbers 5. Same race number run by former Scuderia Ferrari driver and the man Tifosi famously called Il Leone, Nigel Mansell. So Ben Brown using the power of that M480 twin turbo V8, 4 litres in total displacement. Let's close on in on Formula Students. Gabriel Costas in 296. GT3, who's got David Ohak from Remnant Racing just in front of him. Maximin 1.7 seconds behind Dionysus now, just under 1.7 seconds. Dan Terry having got past GT4, or the GT4 of Jamie Nuttall. Still currently holding on to what is 10th position. Gabriel Costas has got he's got 2 things to think about. How quickly can I get past the car in front, which is Dan Terry, who's got blue flags waving his way. Dan, you need to pull to the right. Good call. Just give enough room for both Gabriel and Ben to get through, but then Gabriel doesn't take advantage of it. Let's see how much power that inline flat 6 3-litre twin power M turbo engine responds. Bump over the curbs. Well, Ben Brown has got Gabriel Costas in his crosshairs. Oh, it's going to be 3 wide. There's Jamie Nuttall. Jamie Nuttall to the left of that straightaway. It's 3 wide, 1 GT4 on the outside. Dan Terry lets them through. Ben Brown runs a little bit wide after the late braking into Alboreto. Dan Terry has, oh dear, Dan Terry has hit the barrier again. That BMW definitely has seen better days, my friends. But you know what? We have to give Dan a shout out for what he's achieved, even though he is filled with COVID-19 and he's been organising things behind the scenes. And still to get in the car on a Friday night and go out and race. Well done, mate. Chapeau, as they say. But Glenady Dionysis for Cracked Racing leads the way. And his gap has now expanded back up to 1.9 seconds. This is where things are getting a bit more prevalent, because Cracked Racing have Glenady Dionysus leading the GT3s. Jamie Nuttall in the GT4s, and there is the number 3. Reminds me of the old Mac Attack Racing colours, run by Simon Walker-Hansel and his crew at the Disco Parts Distribution Citroen C1 24 Hours of Silverstone that I had the pleasure of commentating on back on Citroen's Centenary. Where we had 99 cars at the start of a twice around the clock adventure. I'll be honest, not everyone made it to the checkered, but we have 3 minutes to go. And Ben Brown closing in on Gabriel Costas. Down in towards Parabolica Alboreto. Ben Brown sweeps to the outside. He's going to try and get the cut through, get the switch back. A little bit tighter on the inside, but Costas able to use the power and the traction of that Ferrari to get out of the final corner and keep the McLaren at bay for another lap. So with 2.5 minutes to go, we've got this plus 1 more lap remaining, which will be a total of 17 laps around this 3.6 mile circuit. A little bit of calamity towards the beginning of the race, but now there has been a lot more clean and concise battling. Of course, Mateusz Bogus having that moment at the Rettifilio, coming into contact with Nathan Maximin, and then Glenady Dionysus straight lining the Rettifilio and taking full advantage of the situation. But we run on board on the rear roof cam of Gabriel Costas from Formula Student in the number 16 Ferrari 296 GT3. Ben Brown from Monid Racing hunting him down like prey. And there they go, out of the second of the Lesmos through Seraglio for the penultimate time. So our race leader is now making his way in towards the final corner. Very shortly, we'll have the call that it is the final lap. But not just this race, but the final lap of SGP rivals with Intel. Ben Brown again using that 4-litre twin-turbo V8 to its absolute maximum at full velocity. And it's going to be hard on the brakes. So, just under a minute to go. Oh no, Mr. Hallam has just picked up a drive-through. That will be for 4 track limits violations. And that is a straight old trip through the pit lane. However, because we are only 44 seconds towards the end of this race, here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, the Temple of Speed. It's Gabriel Costas. He lost it all. He got crossed up. He lost all that momentum. Coming out of the Rettifilio, went sideways. Ben Brown trying to get past him, nerfed him in the back, and then gave Gabriel Costas the opportunity to get away into the distance. Yellow flags briefly out on the circuit, as the white flag is being shown around the track, showing it is the final race lap of what has been a very energising and refreshing competition. SGP rivals started off a week ago at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve in Portimao on race from experience. So Ben Brown gets a little bit wobbly coming out of the second Lesmo, but our race leader, Glenady Dionysus from Cracked Racing, making his way down the back stretch for the final time. Let's see if we can pick up on him, because the timer has struck 0. SGP rivals with Intel comes to its end as Costas and Brown come out of Ascari for the final time. But let's see if we can pick up our race leader, who's soon to become a 2-time race winner. There it is, the checkered waves, and brilliant stuff by Glenady Dionysus to take the win in the second out of 3. Second, it is Nathan Maximin. Oh, sideways from Costa. Coming out of the final corner, he lost the back end. Mateusz Bogus takes third. And it's going to be fourth for Onid Racing. Where is Ben Brown? There he is, across the line. Gabriel Costa's lost it on coming through Alboreto. Not too sure if there was contact on that front. Lucien Ephraim takes ninth, but this, by my provisional calculations, seals the deal, because provisionally, coming out of the final corner, Jamie Nuttall will not only win the GT4 class here at Monza, but that means that Crack Racing become your SGP rivals with Intel inaugural champions. Well done to them. David Ohack representing La France well and truly with the Alpine there, finishing in second. Julian Strasser will pick up P3. And Mr. Hallam gets a 30-second time penalty as opposed to the drive-through added to his race time as we wait for more drivers. There's Jamie Nuttall taking out all the polystyrene foam through the Retzafilio. There's Glenady Dionysis battling away with, well, that's mucking about with Gareth Ronda. As the rest of the field, we wait for them to come through. Shane Thomas comes through in fourth in GT4 for SGP Racing. And just got a few more cars to come. Andy Dreschler, Daniel Hyde, Adam Burks. But there we are. That's a photo finish, if ever a photo opportunity. Cracked Racing, Jamie Nuttall and Glenady Dionysis are your first ever Sim Racing GP rivals with Intel champions, and boy have they deserved it. They have done an absolute number on everybody else. They did everything they needed to do, and what that means, folks, is that is it. That is it for SGP rivals with Intel. It's gone by in a flash, but you know what, I have to say that the refreshing idea of this competition has really allowed people to test themselves. We've gone to 3 different platforms. So we've had Race From Experience, Assetto Corsa with the mod, and then we go to the Temple of Speed at Assetto Corsa Competizione. Could you think of a way that we might be able to expand this? Well, get in touch with us via social media. You can also head to our official website. And if you have enjoyed what you've seen tonight, and over the course of Racing GP Rivals with Intel, give us a follow. Put something in the chat. We really would appreciate it. We'd really appreciate it. But you know what, folks? Even though this might be over, there's something else you've got to look forward to. Don't forget, this coming Sunday, the 1st of October, is the 5th and penultimate round of the Moser Racing Endurance Championship powered by Sim Racing GP. We'll also have the 5th episode of the Sim Racing GP podcast powered by Moser Racing. Where is it taking place? Of course, it's taking place here at the Temple of Speed. I have to say a few thank yous. Big thank you to Intel UK for their consistent support with this, and obviously for what's happening with Gamer Days, which start next week. Don't forget, head to our website, head to our Twitter, and find out more. Of course, there's still more planned here behind the scenes at Sim Racing GP. Have to say a big thank you to Dave Hedges from Sim Sport Solutions, who's been providing the cameras and also the broadcast for us all tonight. We have to say a big thank you to Mike Yao, and also my good friend, my partner in crime, my SGP BFF. It is, of course, Mr. Paul Glover. I have to say a big thank you to Dan, Thomas, Adam, and all the team here at SGP for continuing to do some great work to help the sim racing community to flourish. Well, that's it for me, Alex Goldschmidt. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on Sunday for the Moser Racing Endurance Championship powered by Sim Racing GP at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Until next time, thanks for watching. See you again soon.